think things are working. Let me change the text. Yo, just posting about it a bit, and then I will work on stuff. Let's see. I don't have my vid cam up right now because I just like don't really have the setup functional at the moment. So I'll have it up probably during Halloween next week. It's the idea when I do the Halloween stream and shit. Also, I really need to shave. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm gonna go through the Trello real quick I have for Space Mech Pilot, and I'm gonna see what I have to do. There's some simple fixes. There's one specific thing that I can't actually do anything about till later. So um actually I'm a little curious first, because this is a little bit important for if you need to deal with. So let's take a look at Space Mech Pilot's leaderboard so far. Let's see, you have to go for achievements, and then you have to go for leaderboards. Let's see, highest and then player level. So, okay, global leaderboards. So this person's been playing the game a ton. I can't confirm if they're cheating or not, but they aren't. At their current position, they wouldn't be, I feel. Um, San looks like a dirty cheater, but I won't worry about the scores here. Um, General gist is by the 30th, I need to patch the game to basically just always consistently do a better job of detecting anti-cheaters. Because right now it's just doing it so if your score is above 100,000, it's just never going to upload the score, which is why leaderboards have been relatively clean for the most part. Um, but uh, well, I don't know. Yeah, it's a little bit of a messy one, but yeah. I probably can't do that code right now. Probably for security reasons, I should not stream myself making the hash that would be used to stop cheaters. Um, I'll probably still make like internal locks to just prevent people from saving cheating every frame, like every so often. So I'll patch it and just keep an eye on the high scores for at least a few months, but then I will just be a little bit more lenient about it. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Okay, so I need to really organize the Trello, but the two main things is I saw a dialogue error. I like somebody sent me a screenshot of their game, and I realized, oh, that's just kind of grammatically not how the character should talk. So I'm gonna go through the Discord DMs real quick and try to find it. So let's see. God, what's the screenshot? Trying to see. Let's see. Yes, it's this line. In a specific part of the game, Kato says, I have a lot of music to listen to, given that I've accumulated through many universe trips. This doesn't exactly make sense, so I'm gonna go through the game's dialogue real quick. Heads up for everyone who's tuning into the stream. Yes, there's just a fuck ton of spoilers in this, I assume, if I ever go for the dialogue code, which is right now. So actually, I could explain a little bit how the dialogue system in this game works. So there's a user by the name of FC Cosmonaut, who made a pretty nifty dialogue system that you can like get on like it's like a free download asset for GameMaker. I've used that for basically every project I've needed dialogue systems in. It's not really an intuitive system for full-fledged projects, I feel, unless you change it a lot. And I think that's like kind of the intention, given that I think she uses it for a lot of things. Like she uses the same dialogue system, but clearly the implementation like allows for stuff like, you know, localization and like really less messy things like the way I'm doing this here, where I basically have to set like who's talking, the dialogue poses, the scripts. This is why the dialogue stuff tends to be the most buggiest part of the game, and why when we were testing it, the game just crashed a lot, because if I just had like one raw number here, it could have caused problems. So let's see. I'll just copy and paste. Okay, there we go. There's the line. Um, so let's see. I have a lot of things to listen to. What the fuck? Uh, what's it even like testing an idle game? I really don't know, because so to explain how the design of the game came across, um, was the we before, but basically at some point in development, when I like worked with Roxy, who's the game's designer, she basically like calculated like a kind of nice smooth formula to make the game like basically feel good from level 1 to 1,000, basically like a set of numbers, right, that if you like plugged in your current level, your current stats, like this is how much XP you'll be getting per certain rate, etc. So we have like a pretty good idea of how that worked. um, Although the game seems to be handling that logic pretty weirdly in ways we're not expecting, but since it seems fine, we don't really worry about it too much. Um, but that basically meant we didn't really know what fiends would look like past level 1,000, so I can't really determine like how long it takes for somebody to get up a certain score. I'd say the game has been out for over 10 days, over 11 days, and the top score is 12,000, which I guess makes sense if you've been playing the game constantly. Um, so like I guess that's fine, right? I don't expect the level 100,000, which is the thing people were cheating themselves past. Like there was somebody on the leaderboard that was like level 5 billion, right? I don't think that's likely to happen um in quite a long time, but it's possible it can happen if people actually keep on playing the game, which is at that point I don't know how far people are willing to go, because there is really no content once you beat the game aside from like the rewind mechanic and getting to level 5,000, which is like a little nifty challenge, but the core conceit of the game is basically done for once you beat the story. Um, so there's usually a plugin you'd have where there's a nice plugin made by a pretty well-known person in the GM community called GM Live, which basically lets you test the game as it's like live, like as it's open. That causes huge performance overhead, and I generally don't need to do it so much because I'm just used to compiling the thing over and over again. Although this game takes, if I add new assets, it takes maybe 30 to 40 seconds to repackage it, and then after that, each compile is like 5 to 10 seconds. If I can't really test game balance, so I just have other people do that for me. But for just testing quick issues or visual stuff, like I can quickly do that. Um, yeah, my debug tools in this game is basically none, but because the game is like only one room, there isn't too much worry to have over that. There is a debug room. Hang on, I can show that real quick. Although I'm gonna fix this line first. Listen to a music that I've accumulated. Which is I'll just put that there for now. Okay, so I'll show the debug room real quick. So, this is a room that just tests dialogue. So if I recall correctly, I would just put in the starting variable, like change the variable in the phone object, which is basically where I store and handle all of the main game dialogue. Um, and Whenever I set the debug room, I just use that to test the dialogue. Uh, I only really did do this when I was actually adding in the dialogue the first time. The second time, since everything's pretty much in, and seemed to rock solid, I just like ask people to play through those segments of the game again, since especially once you have like a high rewind level, you can just go back and play through that part of the game basically instantly. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so actually it's interesting because GameMaker has that stuff now. So GameMaker has something that's like an adaptation similar to like Yarn Spinner. I haven't gotten a chance to use it. That stuff is difficult because you have to build the dialogue system, but you just have so much more control and it does so much of the hard work for you. So the challenge is like displaying it on like having the dialogue trigger. This is like everything. So like the syntax seems okay, but then the problem is like you have to like input each thing here. So I have to input which person's calling for each individual line. And since this is horizontal, it's just hard to always tell which one I'm correctly on. So I have to just constantly recount, like do mental counting in my head about it. Like it's just a lot of work and that stuff. Yeah. I mean, RPG Maker is really easy with that stuff. Like it's so intuitive and simple. So like in this, I have to really be careful with like a lot of individual things. Like, so I could explain how the dialogue function works here. And here I will do something special. Instead of showing it, I'm gonna pull up the documentation for the dialog system. It's the dialog system. Let's see. So on Friendly Cosmonauts dialog system, let's see, create dialog. Better. Yes, create dialog. So this is the specific function, and it calls these specific scripts. Everything past these two is optional, from what I understand. Um, but you could in this case you could like since all of it's like handled as like different arrays, and this was made during when like GMS2 had no 2D arrays and anything like that, so it's just kind of an absolute mess. Um, so you could call it like this. So you could set this the first line, which is 0, to be text, and set the speaker there. But here I just do it as like compact arrays inside here. So this determines the one here determines if it's like a dialogue decision branch, like if this pulls up dialogue instead. Uh, and then this here is speakers. I think this is the text effects, which I didn't need. Text speed, which I don't have. Didn't need to configure. The type, the next line. So this will determine, hey, like this is the dialogue decision. Which line does it jump to after you select it? This is scripts. So this I made some own custom scripts for it. Like I'll make this play music, and I'll make this increment or change variables depending on dialogue decisions. Um, Probably to teach me to the whole thing, basically. Um, because I can't have more than one function at a time. There's a potential issue where you could actually screw up your save pretty badly in the game's ending. Um, but I could probably fix that at some point. And then these are like the emotes, etc. There's like plenty of text effects in this thing. Like it's really powerful, but I just didn't get around to adding it because it just took a lot of work. So I'll probably add it in like if I do a post content patch. I say if I do. I definitely want to. I just haven't got around to it yet. I swear GML is like actually really easy, and that's probably its biggest problem is it's just too fucking lax. Um, I developed a lot of really bad coding habits because it lets me get away with really sloppy coding. So okay, I fixed the line. Let's say that's okay for now. Set the default fire. So this is the interesting thing. And probably one of the more weirder things about the game. So when you start with like a fresh pro playthrough, there's like this like opening here, right? It's like full screen. There's no UI, right? And it's just one enemy that you shoot at. Here the controls of the ship is completely different because I can't have it tied to any of the stats from the beginning because of how that works. So I'm gonna do this here. Let's create function. So upon startup, I want this to set up control variable if file exists. So if there's, let's see, if smp and say what's up, I think that's probably the correct thing I need to put on. If this file doesn't exist, then actually no, I'll set up the variable anyway. So the variable is going to be control equals okay, and be left. So, or actually no, I'll just do lmb count equals 0 if I'll save this elsewhere. Essentially, I just want this on starter. So let's say if they press the button here, uh, then I will increment this control variable by 1, and I will explain what I'm doing here in a second. Let's see, does this work? No, what did I do? Oh no, I fucked up here. Yes. Let's see. So fired a bullet. When the enemy, this specific enemy made for the beginning is about to die, if there is no save file that exists for SMP save, right? So if the player didn't already set a default configuration, let's see if and lmb oh shit start dot lmb count. So if the player used the left mouse button to fire the weapon, let's say the enemy has 15 HP, so they would need to do it. I would say probably. Hmm. I'll be lenient to say just 7 times. So if they do it more than 7 times, then when the game starts, let's say what is it? O game dot mouse. What was it? O game dot manual key. Right, that was the variable. Equals MB left. So that means when the game starts, when they start it and then they fire the mouse more times, then that means the mouse is actually the default key instead of spacebar, which is a thing that people get confused by. Obviously, I could do it. I should do it so they do multiple keys per once, but it's too much work. Yeah, it's in the options menu, which is why it's hard to notice. At the start of the game, though, it tells you could use either, so I enabled the ability to use either of them. Um, let's see. This is a really weird superficial way of doing it, I guess, but it's fine. Okay, I think that adds it. I'll have to test it. Well, see, I would have to delete my save to test it, so I will do that later. I don't think there's any other immediate fixes people have mentioned. I'm gonna scour Steam forums real quick for that actually. And see what people say, and then after that, I'm gonna do the important part of the stream, which is documenting shit. So I'm gonna actually clean up the code finally, because as you can tell, I commented none of it, and it's just kind of a general mess. So just to make it cleaner to read, to make it easier for us to add post content, there needs to be a lot of different ways I need to do things. So yes. So there's the issue with the enemy level up and down, but that's not something I'm going to add until I end up redoing the options menu. Well, my organizational practices were I had none. I just basically made the game until it was done, which meant whichever way I had, if I had really weird jank issues, I would, if it was, even if the solution was unintuitive, I would just figure out a way to do it. Let's see. Okay, it doesn't seem to be any notable issues. Um, Actually, I'm gonna see if I can take a look at the shader, which I didn't make the shader, the CRT shader filter. That's something somebody else released online that you can get. But I'm gonna double check because I think my problem is I fixed it to 1024 by 768 instead of the current resolution of like the window, which could cause some bugs. Let's see, is there a variable for that? Window get. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Should, this. I think I need to make it this. Let's see how this looks. Compiling the game. This might cause some bugs. This thing I just did. Seems okay. See if I. Oh, ooh, that fucks things up. Yikes. That basically just makes screen resizing broken. Um, what the heck? I mean, I did change the window size, so I'm not too sure why that happens. Um, I see. Is it just from window? And yeah, commenting code's a nightmare. This happens every frame. Um, what the heck? Oh, that clearly didn't work, and I think I know why, but it's not something I'm able to fix immediately. Um, yeah, well, let's do that right now, and then going forward, I won't make that mistake again. So, let's see. Tend to over comment everything. And I still kind of comment stuff. I need to be careful about this section, by the way. Let's see. I'm gonna do region API stuff. API. And region. Cool. So I'm gonna just put some stuff in regions, especially that one. I'm gonna need to hide. Probably should be fine. Let's see. So a lot of these functions is because of like really old builds. So hmm. I could probably keep these in. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But these were for builds made way before pre-release. Uh, but before the game even got on Steam, right? So there was a lot of changes made between that and like the first beta build we had on Steam, basically. So there were several bugs. One was that manual key was actually not manual key. It was the ability to turn on and off like the auto level theme. Like so like when you level up, the enemy like level changes to that. Because leveling changing the level is super fast and quick, and also because well I don't like there wasn't really too much of a need to do that unless like it wasn't really efficient to do it in the first place. I appreciated the feature and like because I guess the menu just didn't have space. Um, I added a manual key in its place since that was a more requested feature. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with keeping these in the event somebody decides they still have an old save, but I'll just section this off as its own thing for old pre-beta build fixes for pre-beta builds. If you just region it off, it's just one line of code where it stores all of that stuff and it's gone. Very cool. So in case you wonder what I'm looking at here, well, it just says insert description here. This is initialize basically every game variable or every important game variable. Uh, So most people would do this in a script and just run it, but I just decided to do it in a single object that starts in the game's first room. Very simple game maker things. Um, but basically, uh, this initializes all the starting variables. So this is what everything what the player would be at the very start of the game. So they would be level 1. Their damage is only 1. And actually, there's an interesting problem with this is that while this is something I want to keep to change occasionally, player damage doesn't scale up anymore, or I don't know how to describe it. It scales up, but it doesn't like scale up in a way that keeps this variable relevant and to save and change. Um, but it's there to change in the future. Um, so this is player level. Well, first I'll just set this off as a say base player stats region. Cool, clean. Oh shit, I didn't want to do that. So this is the player level. Uh, nothing else to say about that. I know what comments to have about that. Player XP, players current XP, players current max XP, and we save this for reason. Um, there's like different ways you could handle like remembering what the player's max XP is. You could just calculate what it's supposed to be at the start. We just like basically increment it and save it, so you can actually easily change the max XP whenever you want and like kind of break the game because of that. Um, Again, stuff you can do, but if you do it for the save file, uh, you will have your save permanently locked. Indicates the game is complete yet. And ascend level is actually in the game now. It is the rewind level, but it's just called ascend in code. I'll change that at some point. Actually, let's do this. Ascend level. Where can we find it? We can find it in several instances. I feel like if I change it, it's going to break builds a bit. So for now, let's just keep it as such. Yeah, I'm willing to hear feedback, but my ability to fix it either on stream or later is going to vary. Uh, Calculates additional damage. I'll just say I think that calculates damage period, but I'll double check actually. Yes, this just calculates the DPS formula essentially. So calculates damage in case we can complete yet. The player's rewind level affects XP gain and post playthroughs. And a note about ascend. Let's see. We will be heavily changing how ascend work. How ascend rewind works in the future. Just leave that there for now. Cool. Base player stats cleaned. So this is let's move this. Can click false. This should probably be moved to the other section, or the dumb shit section, as I like to call it. Why did I call it that? I must have been really angry when I was working on the game that time. Let's see. So there's this stuff I could move around a bit. This I should keep here. Last damage, last XP, and DPS. And DPS is pretty irrelevant. I'll put this in dumb shit and figure it out later. Let's see how to fire. Let's see social stats. And this is pretty simple to explain. Social stats. Also, I think I changed how this works too. So let's see. I'll say basically any variables related to the kata and the social Kata social stats. Story related variables. Let's move this. So, shit, didn't mean to do that. Players G stat. Players mat as the G player needs to rank up. So I'll just actually no, that's not where I should put it. Let's see. And I will go back and adjust the letter so we know what it is. So as far as I'm aware, the auto fire sprite has like a very minor color difference between the base sprite, but it's just not noticeable. So we might need to change the auto fire sprite in the future, if we do that, to um, like we might need to change that in the future. Uh, yeah, that's basically what I would think is the issue. Basically, it's why like you can see the grenade be shot out, but you can't tell the difference between an auto fire and manual fire. Giving an animation to manual fire might help too. Yeah, we were just not able to add anything like that, or I guess we just didn't think about it too much since it looked okay. Like a lot of shmups don't really have, well, they do have unique animations when you fire the ship, but like a lot of some can get away with not doing it. So, but it shouldn't be difficult to add. It just requires artwork, and currently, like, I'm like the only person that still does work on the project right now. Like everyone's just gotten a bit busy and needs to take time off, including myself, really, because I got so many other things I need to work on. Actually, I'm coincidentally doing an interesting thing tonight. I was thinking the ship would like have a more visible gun that that would fire out of it and like would have like a splashy animation with it. That's something we probably would want to do with turrets too. Let's see, and this needs to be separated. So contest s rank determines position and story. The when was the last time you played? Because we actually buffed the F boost significantly. So it used to be like a what, like a 10% damage boost, which is kind of worthless. But now it does 5,000% more damage, manual damage, which is well basically like what, 50 times over. Um, so actually in actuality the current game's design encourages F boost heavily, or at least it doesn't encourage constantly playing the game, but it encourages that you check the game back every so often to use it. Uh, determined. Yeah, you're supposed to. It's like one of those like clicker things. Let's see. Amount of times you've talked to Kato. I think this is a depreciated variable. Like I just don't use this anymore. Which would probably make sense because I had a lot of criticism about the initial parts of the game. Yeah, no, it's not based like auto damage. It's a buff for manual damage basically. So interesting about this variable. So Oh, yeah, no, it basically does nothing if you do that. Because it's only for manual damage. It doesn't buff any other attacks too. It might be mistaken as such because it also buffs attack power, but since we now display manual damage as its own thing in the game's UI, you will notice that it specifically improves manual damage. So, an interesting feat about Kato talk. So early in the game, so some of the social rank requirements required you talking to Kato at X amount of times. This was because a lot of the dialogue you would have when talking to Kato, like on the side, would be like random. So I would do like a random grab bag of stuff. There's two reasons why I changed that. One, people did not like having to spam talk to Kato when I realized that was the requirement. Some of the requirements were egregiously high, like you needed to talk to Kato like 40 times to get past rank 6 at one point. Um, which at that time it didn't add extra dialogue, so you just spam the second dialogue option over and over. Two, like I just wasn't able to just write a lot of different random dialogue that would fit chronologically in the story. So I had all the side dialogue Kata had like go in sequential order of story events and like added context or gave hints to players, which I think was a better result. But there will be a random grab bag of dialogue that will probably come back in later on. It's possible. It's possible when you rank up, it explains the F boost, but it's possible it doesn't explain that it only does manual damage. I think it might have. I know the game has some really weird readability issues because the size of the game and its UI gives it so much limited space. Um, like it deliberately says it boosts M damage, but also there isn't really something that introduces players to what M damage means, which I think is a possible concern. Because what does manual damage mean, right? Like I think this is this is likely a depreciated variable, but we'll hold on to it for now. Oh god, that very crusty zoom in, that resolution of that font. Ooh, I think you can change it in the settings. Oh, you want something explicit like that? That should be, uh, yeah, that should be easy to add. I think I actually have an idea for that, so I could add that today actually. Um, determines if the next rank is ready to progress. Yeah, I have an idea. I think I know what you're talking about. So I like what you'd do it as. So I got an idea. Ding. So let's see. This is all uh weapon cooldown weapon stats. I guess is just a better way to call it. So I'm just gonna listen here. I appear to have given up commenting this halfway through, and now it all looks disorganized. Let's see. So this is auto fire. This is turrets. I must have early in production considered auto fire and turrets very separate from the other abilities, which is weird because they basically are all the same thing, which is abilities. Oh yeah, I'm excited to play the arcade version, but I know it's not going to be like in an area near me anytime soon. Like if I had the money, I would totally be down with just getting a noise arcade machine and like having it in my house. That'd be really cool. But God, those things are like thousands of dollars. Yeah. I haven't actually finished my schoolwork yet. I'm like still behind on like what my game art assignment, like 3D game art. So what happened was because of a incident I don't want to talk about. I ended up falling behind on my assignment. I just couldn't. For 1 week, I basically just did not do my assignment. My teacher's willing to let me make up for it. Uh, my teacher's willing to letting me is willing to let me make up the assignment, but I have to actually do it eventually. And now I'm like gonna be 2 assignments behind if I don't finish it. So I'm doing it tomorrow since there's a lot of I'm busy this weekend, like every weekend actually. So oops. Yeah, like you're The arcade company you're working with is handling all of that, so you can't be too sure where that is basically at. I'm in a so I'm not in an English class, like the English class, like well, so I'm in an English class, but it's like a literature class, I think in specific, which I think is classified differently in our school since we're in the same school. But yeah, so I really wanted to go to this literature class that like was like it covered a book about like gender and sexual identity, and I'm like, wow, that's perfect. I think I'm the perfect target audience to read a book like that. Um, but nope. So what happened instead was uh what happened instead was the like so like it was an online class, but the it conflicted with like my physics class, which if you've like seen my Twitter, like I've complained a lot about anyways. But like for some reason due to because it was a quote unquote conflict, like it's an online class, but it had like lectures you had to attend to anyways, like on like call. Um, but it conflicted with my physics class and it wouldn't let me sign up for it, even though my teacher said the professor for that literature class said she could have accommodated for it. Uh, but that didn't happen and she never got back to me despite me like emailing her maybe 10 times, so I just eventually gave up. And well, that basically was what happened. um Oof, wasn't really cool. So instead I'm in a literature class that's about like Virginia history, and like, well, Virginia history is just slavery and uh like the tormenting Native Americans and converting them to Christianity, and yay. um I guess in some aspect it's easy to write because I mean the easiest take you can have on that stuff is all of that shit's bad, and well, it is, right? um but it's just such a unfun thing to cover about, especially when like I actually already knew a lot of the information because I had a really good history class in like late high school that did educate very well about that stuff, to my surprise, because American history likes to get really skewed in those classes. I still remember when I was younger and like they God, I don't know if I want to get into it, but it's just like the way that they portrayed Native Americans was uh very while we don't want to like tell you that actually we tried to get rid of them for the most part. Like they were just it was just like constant dodging around it, which is like was really frustrating, right? Because then eventually you would realize that basically a lot of the material you learned in like early elementary school was like lies essentially. I wish I had a. I wish I went to that literature class so bad. Like I literally, I read the description of the book. I went through the book. Like I went through like a preview of it myself, and I'm like, hey, I actually really want to be in this class bad. I feel like this is something I want to read, and like that just didn't happen. So that was like the first sign that college this semester was gonna suck. All right, so I'm just like going through these. I mean, it's pretty clear what these are, so you don't really have to comment them, but also you should. So my really bad rationale for why I didn't really do commenting code was well, I'm the only programmer in this project, so like as long as I don't forget what my code looks like, I will remember. Um, I will like have no problem with it. But there's always a chance that maybe I'll bring somebody up to uh like somebody to help me out with the project. And also like eventually it's just good for organization. Like having all these regions makes this normally like what like couple hundred line like really uh like script, really easy to go through and read and check the individual stats. Although I haven't really had to touch the script in a while, except for the API bits. Let's see. God. Let's see. This was this the out of fire ref or the improve ref? I think this was. Oh yeah, I need to go for the shop real quick. So this is why documenting and cleaning up code is nice. One of the early up there's one so there's a few upgrades in the game, right? So the first. Oh wow, the code even for here is still here. I think it actually might have not changed anything. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So improve speed is just not in the game. Let me double check it. Bullet speed. So improved bullet speed was a shop upgrade in the game, in like one of the very early versions. I might actually be in the prototype that like is included in the thing. I didn't check actually. Like in the universe drive, but improved bullet speed basically well, it is exactly what it says it is. It makes your bullets faster. But as you can imagine, given the context of the game and also just generally how things worked, it was kind of useless. But not only that, difficult to calculate. So um. Sheesh. Don't think I'm ever going to need that. Uh, well, okay. Then I just suddenly thought of a way I could maybe still use it. But it's not in the game's code currently, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it elsewhere. So this is gonna be, I'll put this in dumb shit temporarily and I'll figure out what to do with it later. So improve ROF actually improves turret cooldowns. It used to improve the ROF of like your weapon, like your manual damage, which was again another really useless idea in that regard. Slower damage bullet upgrade would mess things up, but I'm thinking like uh, so I don't really want to play my hand and explain why I would want to keep faster bullets or like add it in the future, but I have a good idea for it, so just trust me on that one. Uh, improves and damage. Uh, starts the main story. That's the cell phone upgrade. Increases G, increases A, increases T, increases O. Well, so this is like current, yeah, basically. For progressing, I think progressing to rank 7, or I think rank 6. I think it's rank 6. Yeah, no, it's 2-7. Progressing to rank 9. Yeah, there's like actually quite a bit of stuff that we would just have hazardly scrap. Those upgrades were probably the main things that got kicked out of the game though. When we usually had issues with a certain thing, we tried our best to just keep it in the game and make it work. All right, shop upgrades here complete. Dumb shit. So first off, we might want to use this somewhere. So I'm gonna do this. Future stuff. Let's go. Um, this is pretty important for visual stuff, so I don't really have a way of designating it, so I will say, actually, let's move these. These would make sense here. So again, I can't tell you what I want to do with it, but it's a really good idea. Um, like I know exactly what faster bullets would mean, basically. A hint I could give is, uh, in an RPG, having a higher speed often means you have a higher chance of dodging. But I will not elaborate any further, because that's not stuff I've implemented or entirely figured out. But I've had ideas. No gato. No gato is a specific variable. So there is a dialogue decision pretty early on in the game that lets you tell Gato about the existence of a video game called Garden for Gato, right? Which I made a while back. That actually sets this to true. And in rank 6, you have a pretty different dialogue tree depending on if this was true or not. So Gato remembers. Because of this, we can check and make sure, like, hey, did you did Kata did you tell Kata beforehand about Garden for Gato? So if so, like that changes the dialogue there. So it determines dialogue. Okay, and I think it adjusts some other lines later on too. So determines which part of the side dialogue Kato is at. I will elaborate on this later. Very cool. And by the way, this is like one of like tons of different objects. And probably after commenting this, I'm just gonna focus on organizing the objects first, and then I will go back to commenting whatever just I feel like. Yeah, there's a lot of references in this stuff because as you know, a lot of our Project Natural works are pretty tied to each other. Um, so like making that. So I think probably the best way of explaining it was given that the game is literally named Space Mech Pilot, it was always going to be in some way attached to Garden Forgotten because Space Mech Pilot, for people who don't know, um, was the name of like basically the bullet hell segments of that game. So to train Gato in that game to like get stronger and progress in the game story, you would play a three-button shmup, which was called Space Mech Pilot. Um, and essentially like this is like a full like the premise the original premise of the game is this is uh like the home application version of Space Mech Pilot. uh so it was like supposed to be like a kind of I guess it was like a very much a side thing. The design of it as an idle game was also there from the beginning too. Even though Space Mech Pilot in Garden Forgotten is like an actual shmup you play, right, with controls and everything that you can dodge and move to the bullets. And oh no, I don't want to buy followers. Get the hell out. Oh, I don't have moderator view. Give me a second, y'all. This will. Oof. How do I? I don't think I can delete the message. Oh well. Kata's pronouns. We have it in the QA. They're they them. I see Moxie's in the chat. If you're able to get rid of the message, I would appreciate it. Yeah, it's not actually implied, but yeah, Kato does identify as non-binary, and is in a universe where like stuff like that is classified a bit differently. But I guess it's kind of implied in Kato as well that people don't really mind that too much, right? I did originally wanted to talk about uh Kato like mentioning how they did come out to like their family, but that's like not a thing that really existed in our world and wasn't really something I wanted to write in anyways. So um that's that's basically what it was what it originally was going to happen like when Kato was talking about their grandfather. Let's see. Okay, so anyways, let's go back to this. This is for members. The last damage is for damage pop up. This remembers last XP gain is for XP pop up. V2. So there's different versions of this. I will elaborate about that later. It's current DPS. I think this is useless. And I'll go back and clean out these lines eventually. So okay, faux real is pretty important to hold on to too. Let's move that back over here. Faux real variable determines if the player listened to faux real in the story. Let's see, random chance. I think this establishes RNG for some things. Uh, but I think oh no, this establishes RNG for a support strike, I believe, in specific. So let's see, like the variable that the game uses. So I'm just gonna move this over to here. So I guess in case it wasn't obvious, the support strike, each every hit has like a random chance of hitting, essentially. So before you get the S rank, it's like 2 to 3 times. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, it's fine. Whatever. No, no one minded. Gets current playtime. Doesn't really do much, but I'll add a playtime counter later. This, I think this counts by milliseconds, or this counts by like, well, it counts by microseconds, which is really weird. Um, can click. Determines where if the player can fire their weapon is active during, disables it during menus slash buying upgrades. Cool. Tracks how much AP was spent. Tracks how much SP was spent. Tracks number of manual shots. Yeah, no, that's okay. Will there ever be enemies that matter slash boss fights? I'm not going to say anything. Is that a sufficient answer? I don't. I will not answer that question. And I also have to stress that for the game's post content, like I really can't work on that right now. I have like other obligations to take care of, so I don't know what it's going to look like when we eventually do it. I just have a lot of ideas that I actually drafted out. I wrote like a very early script of some things too, so I know what it looks like, but I can't confirm or deny anything right now. Um, Other than interesting suggestion. I'm pretty sure there's been boss fights in idle games. I think they've been okay. Tracks number of runs the player is on. Tracks total number of enemy defeats. I think this number gets skewed a fuck ton. I need to double check it actually. Oh fuck, there's probably something I left in there. It might have caused a problem. Uh, Determines if the player is playing the Steam Game Festival demo. Oh, that's a fun one. So yeah, I have a single global variable that tracks if the player is doing that, and the builds of the game that were the game festival just had this set as 1. Um, it changes some things. It changes some dialogue that pops up. It changes the game's ending a little bit. And it disables ascending, although ascending wasn't actually coded in when the festival build was out, so that was kind of like not a huge thing. Player SFX volume, player music volume, current key for firing, shows day month or month day on the top left, enables or disables auto saves, uh, enables or disables auto leveling, cannot be selected in options. By it changes the ending. It's just the game tells you you beat the game. Congratulations! Like you finished the game festival version. Please play it when it actually comes out. Um, Tracks grenade overflow damage, which I don't think should be in settings. This should be in this thing. And this is just initialization. These stats are changed heavily, basically on a per frame basis elsewhere. So we'll have to keep track of that later. Let's see. Uh, Hooray, this is done. So this is the object that initializes everything, basically startup. Um, so this script is always run. Let's see. I think there's actually one more thing. Does it initialization? Yes. No, this is important. API initialization slash loading the game. So I can't show it here, but this region is where it checks boot up's APIs and also actually loads the data. So it will overwrite all the variables here. I will show the saving and loading data limit it is. It's actually on the right side over here, but I can't show it too much for safety reasons. It shouldn't be that bad. The actual like security stuff I can't show is in a different script, thankfully, but still. So okay, I have here a list of objects. GameMaker separates things by different file types. Well, it used to. Now you can just do it wherever you want, but I'm too used to that format, so we're just gonna keep it that way currently. So test dummy stuff seems. This seems to just be. Why did I name it that? Weird. We'll have to fix that. Let's just since this is all stuff that we actually still use in the game. Let's just call this and file objects. So I will put the sidebar in here too. I'm not going to change the object names in fear of it changing code. Actually, I have to just double check. I could always. Nope, I don't think OTest is called it anywhere. So I'll just change it to O UI. U O phone terminal. Why not? And that shouldn't cause any problems. I think if we just go back to room 01. Cool. Doesn't. Let's see. Icons. I think I should probably just make a UI folder. I'm surprised I didn't have one. That's particular. Let's make a group UI, which actually environmental objects would probably fit here since most of the game is just UI anyways. Say this would be a bit outside of environmental objects. Console themes inside there too. Console itself is a UI theme, so I'll put it up here. Explosions. This is a core object. Ugh, what a messy folder. Yeah, I just kind of threw stuff in folders and then eventually gave up, basically, as you can tell here. So that's a bit unfortunate. Let's see, I'll do probably plugins would be a nice folder to have since I have a few here. I have Dissonance, which is the Discord API. I have GM Live here. Let's see. Ending Shake. I should probably have a folder for cutscene work because I did make a few cutscenes and that's why this folder became just an absolute mess. So let's do cutscenes. And I will do this is like basically just a room that handles the blog. It handles the game's ending. Dialogue debug. Well, I'll find a place to put that. C Black handles. It's like basically a CG. Dissonance is super easy to add actually. I don't want to show my Discord API token, but if you set up the Discord API stuff, it's super easy. And then actually, hang on, let me go to controller here. I can show this. Somewhere in controller, this sets all the Discord dissonance stuff. Which by the way, this is free to download. So this sets like basically the to demonstrate. And let me determine my Discord is safe to have open and share. Give me a second. I'll pop up the natural Discord for a hot second, and then I will open up Space Mech Pilot on Steam. The only sensitive info is like a certain, is just like a script that I accidentally showed a few times on stream anyways. The not sensitive info is the lines here. So I have the game open here, right? Um, so let's show it here. Let's see. So if we go up here, we can see that I am in game. Um, so these lines here, was a dissonance set large image determines the image here. So here, depending on whatever or not you played the game, when you started the game, you have the phone, or you completed the game, determines your what image is here. Above here, this sets the details. So for example, um, here I have like my player level and my rewind level and my XP. So I set this here. And I have different like so this shows the rewind level alongside the level if I have a higher if I actually have ascended, um, or something like that. And then this shows the XP on the bottom here. So this is all like just a few lines of command. Um, there's no performance overhead for just having it in a step event. Should just be able to happen basically every frame, no problem. So let me close that. That is a demonstration of dissonance. Should be easy to find. I think it's on itch. Let me see if we can link it if you don't know where it is. Yes, it's right here. I think it used to cost money actually, but I know it's now free. So, uh, yeah, I'm fine with people joining the Student World Discord. It's honestly just been inactive because I've been busy with stuff, but I've been meaning to want to set up stuff with friends there. Um, if you're willing to actually help or like invite people, like talk to me because I do want that to actually become a thing, but I clearly can't dedicate time to it right now. So, um, that would be heavily appreciated. You can find it through the I have the Student World thing on my Twitter, so you can find it through there. Okay, going back to organizing objects. Let's go. Uh, this is a second epilogue object, I guess. OEnd is different. I could just probably make a folder that does like what the just, uh, results screen would probably be right, put in here. Just do a debug so I can put stuff like this in here. This was a specific object designed to take advantage of the shake script that I made, the camera shake script. And it's just done to happen in the game's ending. So the shake is well, so like it's specific. I think it's supposed to call it. I don't think it actually got used. No, it's not. It happens. Cool. Yeah, I think it did that because it just didn't work when I did it in the sequence, which I didn't understand too much about how it worked. So let's put this in UI. Um, I'm gonna change environmental objects to the sidebars. That'd probably make a lot more sense. And then, yep, that seems about right. Um, bullets, hell, have their own thing here. I'll do probably players. Or I'll group off the starting room objects because that seems to be different. Room start. Group them off here. Let's see. Speed. This is depreciated stuff. So let's see. I'll do debug. I'll rename this to debug. Wait, what? What do you mean it's already in use? Debug removed. Oh, I guess I can't use. That's a really weird bug. They should just say I can't use it. And removed. Cool. And then so to explain XP pop-ups, so these are the old versions of the XP pop-ups, like when you get XP and when you do level ups, these would pop up. It basically just creates like a text object that just displays text, and then once it fades out, it deletes it. There's a problem with this, especially when you do damage pop-ups and stuff throughout the game. It just like basically spawns the objects ad nauseum. So and the simple understanding of what happens if I have these in the game again is the game's performance basically tanks heavily as it progresses. Um, so instead, what happened was we made with the help of Torrent programmed damage pop-up V2 and XP pop-up V2, which are a lot more efficient because they handle basically defined as like structures and stuff. And just as you can see, the code here is just completely different from mine. Um, because like, well, Torrent's like an actually really good GMS programmer, and I'm baby at it. I'm actually really bad at programming, so I think explosion would be probably I need like a effects place, I guess. Clicky area. I think that would, area and UI hitbox would make sense to put in here. I'll just put it somewhere in here. Okay. Music, enemy spawn. Those are pretty important, I think. Music. These are dialogue options. Same with the phone. So I'm gonna actually split these off. Um, dialogue objects. So the phone itself is a big dialogue thing, which because I don't know. The phone is like an all-encompassing object. It is itself a dialogue speaker, and it is also what I use to check and call all the main dialogue in the game, and also like do the whole thing when like you turn up the phone and you talk to Kato. This was not a very convenient way to do it because it checks this all of that code basically every frame, but shouldn't be too negligible on performances because computers nowadays are fast. At least that's what I hoped. Some people seem to have issues though. I'll put this in the FC dialog system. That would probably make the most sense. Can I put it in here? Thank you. Cool. Let's see. Oh, camera. This is a lot more cleaner now. Explosions. Fuck. I'll just put it somewhere somewhere here. I'll just put it in core objects. Probably the best place for it. So yeah, look, all of our objects are now neatly in folders. So now we got to figure out what to do with our rooms. So, um, yeah, there's quite a few students, and I think the idea of Studio 4 was like we wanted it to be like just not just American students, even though that's like probably a good 40% of the Discord, including myself. But there's a lot of people from different places, so it's actually worth interacting there, I think. Um, yeah, let's see. You can still get away with a lot primarily because again, computers are fast. Like back then, if you didn't optimize games like this, I mean, for one, making it and using a high level engine and scripting language like this would probably be terrible for old computer performance. Um, but like nowadays, you can kind of just get away with it and it's fine. So, um, yeah. So rooms. So there's quite a few. This is the starting room. This is a blank room when you start the game. And it will throw you into the room of choice. So uh, each room has creation code, so this happens upon boot up. So what I have here is that depending on if the player had so first it loads like basically the stats object here, right? So I think this is a see this is which one is this? This is This is the camera. So initializes the camera, the old game, the object that was doing a lot that comment encoded, and then the music object. We need to initialize music object early because of async reasons. Um, the game object starts here. It's going to set all the variables, and then with that and the room setup, it's going to decide. So did you already progress enough that you don't need to do the starter room, right? Did you get more than a few XP points, basically? This is, I don't know why I have this check here. I think this is just also in case, right? Like if the player like had XP 0 and like, but they were like level 15 or whatever. Um, room start, so it'll take you to room start if none of those things are applicable. So else it's going to take you into the main game. So checks if the player gets thrown into the main game or starts at the very beginning. Yeah, the room system is super intuitive. It's like not powerful compared to Unity scenes, I feel. Especially because they're also literally 2D. And if you wanted to do a 3D game, you would be writing a lot of the stuff in code, basically. But it's pretty good to use. Very simple to understand. Which is why I insist that even if GML looks intimidating, like GMS2 is probably the most accessible game engine for newcomers. Um, like once you understand GMS2, you hopping into Unity wasn't half bad because of it, I feel. Oh, really? That's a shame. That's right. Your game is still on GMS 2.1.4. Yeah, that blows. I mean, you could go through the work and try to make it updated with the current Discord API, like if you really wanted to put into the work into it. But that's like, that's like not your code. So, you know, and that sucks. Okay. Adding Discord integration is fun. So, next time you work on a game that lets you do that, like probably Galaxy Cross would be a really good game to make sure you have that stuff implemented. Unity also has pretty good stuff. Some people have like made Unity plugins for it. Yeah, it's a really nice touch though, and like also with the case of Spaceback Pilot, we were able to do some fun narrative things, right? Like how like Kato popping up in like the large image was determinant on your game progress. Yeah, so like stuff like that was like a really fun touch. Like that was solely the reason why I wanted to do it, basically, because it might like spoil it for some people, basically. But like I thought it'd be a very fun thing if people realized it while they were on Discord, which most people who play the game likely are. Um, so yeah, this is pretty simple creation code. So this is the init room. And it's set as home. So basically, this is the room it starts at. For some reason, the ending is the next room afterwards. I'll just put this back here. Um, so okay. Um, room start uh is the starting room. We've shown this already. There's like different backgrounds here and different layers. Pretty simple stuff. I don't really need to. I guess I'll group the rooms here. So I will group it by uh, cutscenes and main game, basically. Because I will be for the different cutscenes in the game, like doing different things and the like. So um, shouldn't affect order because the way the game jumps between rooms, you can have a code so it'll be like, oh, if you do think you room go to next, then it will go to the next in the order in this order here. But it's probably not how you want to do it anyways, so I wouldn't recommend that. Let's make cutscenes. Oh wait, no, I already made the group. I'm dumb. Cool. Let's see. I need to double check if this room still gets used. Let's go back to rewinding. I God, where the hell do I put? Yeah, I'll rename this. It's easier to understand. Shop and menu. Oh, come on. Let's see. Oh yeah, I actually was told by quite a few people that they found out about Space Mech Pilot through Discord rich presents. Like they would see like it was like I would get like a person to play it, and then like that person is also on like other Discord, so they see them playing it, and then they can check like their stats. Yeah, rich presence is a really simple thing to add if you're not making the API for it yourself, I imagine. Um, so like there's hardly not a bad reason to do it. Yeah, it's good. Basically means it was a worthwhile feature to add. A lot more worthwhile than I expected it actually. So that's really good to hear. Time to rewind. What happens when you rewind? Oh, this is just, huh? The fuck? Oh no, there's like a pretty bad bug here that I never fixed. Particular. Um, let's. That's interesting. I guess people never notice because when they commit to rewinding, they just do it. So basically here, it never resets the times to rewind variable, like number of times that to press the button before it confirms it. So let's see, what do I do about that? I need to go to the script where we do all the main menu stuff. So, Yes, it will set an alarm there, so it needs to reset the times to rewind. Yeah, no, you have to do some like work and like go through the documentation and everything. Like for me, this is literally just add it in, right, and then like just write 6 lines of code and it did what I wanted it to, which is unfortunate in your situation. Let's see. So times rewind. So okay, I'm gonna probably let's just double check that I don't call room rewind anywhere. I don't. This room is gonna get deleted. So when the to explain how rewinding worked, and this was like consciously when I was like if it was like 4 a.m. in the night, then the basically the day we launched, right? We were supposed to launch on the 13th, and we needed to, and I was trying to make the rewind thing. So for those who have used the rewind mechanic, basically what happens is like a swirl of white comes in, and then boom, screen hits to black. So let me show what that looks like. We used the GameMaker Studio 2.3's sequences for something like that. So sequence one is the game's ending, I guess. Oops. But basically, uh, it would spawn on top of the entire game plane, with the game room, and then it swirls in white, and then bam, it spawns like a big black background to like cover the rest of the room so you don't see anything. And then it will call a script here that does the rewind functions, which is in the save data. And this will basically reset the game except for some important variables. And as you can see, I even added a sound effect here, so I can also play for this as well. Um, there seems to be a really weird bug with sequences where the audio plays mono from the left ear, which is why this was the case. In the case of the ending cutscene, I had the music play independently from the sequences, which causes the separate bugs, but it was the only way to get that to work, unfortunately. Um, yeah, thanks for coming by. Best of luck with your homework. Uh, I feel it. It's the most I can put it. So, okay, before we go back here, I'm gonna go fix the bug in menu real quick. I just needed to take a look at this for another reason. Times to rewind. Um, cool. Shit. I think I kind of forgot what I was going. No, I was here to double check if the rewind room should exist. Okay, so my job here is done for now. God, documenting. Look, it took 1 hour to fully document 21 different scripts for a class last night. Because I wrote all the code first and then documented after. Um, Imagine with the amount of scripts I have in this fucking game, how long that would take. So, oh yeah, I'm having a great time. I really don't know what this was for. I will figure it out later. I think I might have actually not used it because sequences again are strangely buggy. Um, so I think I removed everything relevant to GM Live in this game's code, which is probably why it's not used. So. Oh yeah, spoilers, I guess. This is the game's ending cutscene. So, it jumps you into a room that just plays the sequence only. And as you can see, I have a million layers here because I had no idea what I was doing. This is like the first time I used this thing, and actually, this is the reason why I upgraded to 2.3 for this project was because I didn't want to like make the cutscene for code. And like I saw this and I saw the tutorial and it seemed really easy, which it is, but I had some issues that I fixed out. So as you can see, and like we can, I disable it normally because music plays separately, but we can play it here, right? So, uh, as you can see, there's no screen shaking. This is because, well, that was a separate object that plays independently in the room as well. Let me skip it a bit. At this point, the thing just covers the entire screen and just keeps going. And then this pops up. Yeah, changing screen took a lot of time. It was actually originally a video, but I couldn't get like a plugin for GMST video to work. So, tell you something that you should not know. Every individual text theme is like a big ass sprite that's just in there. Oh, what the heck is wrong with the credits there? Oh, I didn't ever realize that. Weird. You can see like script going down that way, but yeah, this here, um, these are all individual sprites. Can I? So as you can see, this is like one big sprite for some reason. And there's like 20 of these, and they completely screw up the game's texture pages. Um, yeah, was not an intuitive system, but I was like kind of like cracked and rushed to do it. And that's how it turned out. Um, this Sky Hour Works GIF bloated the game's file size because it's like I don't know how many freaking frames. It's also clearly lost, like compressed, and lost the format like significantly. That's how I did it. So oops. And then here it calls a bunch of functions that jumps you to the room epilogue, and we are done. I think it tries doing it here, but it fails, and then I did another thing that actually worked. So oops. Um, yeah, that's how the game's ending worked. Um, a hard one to do, but I knew what the ending was gonna look like pretty early on in the project, and the whole intention was it to kind of like hit emotionally. I remember when I instructed Rookie, like basically how I'd want it to play out basically. So that track I had a lot of hand in actually. Although I think I just kind of sent Outer Wilds tracks to kind of help give him a better impression of what I wanted to do here. It's funny because I'm not too sure I really wrote in a very solid explanation for what the heck really happened here. Like it's explained, but it like visually doesn't line up with what I wrote in there. But this is what we had because we just had a black hole sprite and all that. But yeah, dope. Very cool thing. This is just named as fucking like sequence one. Again, that's like how rushed this was. I need to probably, we can change this. We can fix this for good. So, oh, maybe we should not. I see that the script here does different things. Never mind. Well, guess it will stay sequence one for a hot while. Hooray. So sprites or scripts. Sound effects were organized pretty okay. Um, yes, let's do scripts. Scripts is probably the least organized. So this game has tons of scripts. Let's go and group up all the dialogue ones. Let's see, these are all FC dialogue system. Then I'm gonna make a separate group here that is like self-made dialogue functions. Um, Actually, I think that's probably not a good idea, because I did actually group some of them together here. So it's probably not relevant. Menu scripts. Let's do that. See, it would ideal for all the distance related things to put it like in one folder, but I did significantly change some. Well, see, that's all scattered basically everywhere, so probably not ideal to do that. So I always will keep it for at least this project, just keep it the same structure that GM has always had. Because they used to make it so if you made a script, it couldn't leave the script folder. It had to be in there. Instead of I could put this in the sound folder, I guess if I wanted to. Draw text shadow was done for the UI. So let's see. Create group. I'll say UI. I'll do one that does data. There's probably no reason to make a bunch of different groups for these, but let's see. Probably for this one because there's two different scripts here. So dialog script. Yeah, okay, we can just make a folder for saw script commands. This will put in here, here, call script. I'll do this I'll put this here. Yeah, this is also a command here. Music dialog. These ones too, although I think this one gets used as well. Yeah, this is probably. We'll just keep it in dialog system. Why not? BG change is a script command here. Ending shakes is I'll put in UI. Ranks and achievements, create document. Interesting one. So, create document. Uh, so originally, what I was gonna do when you bought the Katos notes and also the universe manual, if you wanted to see what the file said, uh, it would save these in the game's local app data. Or was probably gonna have it saved somewhere more relevant, like documents, basically. But it would save like basically a text folder that included all of these. Bit like a fourth wall, like kind of meta thing. I didn't add that in there because we just decided to make it so you could just select it in the shop again to open it up. Um, yeah. Although you should be interested in trying out the other game I'm making, Read to See Voice, if you want to see something like that happen. Uh, this might get used at some point again, I'll swear. So I'll just leave it out somewhere else. Document. Keyboard held. This is pretty decent. Useful. Yeah, and then ranks and sheaves I'll just have here. Cool. Scripts is a lot more cleaner. I guess is a good way of putting it. No, I did not mean to put it in there. Shit. There we go. Wait, no. Done. Metagaming hype. So make I think it's probably possible. I don't know how Apple would do it. Should be doable on Android, I feel. Like Android, that should be easy to do. I just don't know about Apple. You would have to probably on both devices, you would need to let the user know and give the app permission to essentially read the phone's data, which might be sus to people, which might be a bit sus to people, I guess is like a way of putting it. I know some Android games warn you about that. Like, hey, like we'll look for your app data for like some stuff. Okay, sprites, and then I think all the files are organized, and I'll just document stuff till the stream's done, which I think I'll probably stop the stream in probably 30 minutes to an hour. I'll see how I feel by then, basically. Wonderful. Yeah, look at that, just that big text file, that's the sprite that's just a bunch of text and transparency around. Ooh boy, did a really good job with that one. Where did I even put that stuff? Put it in MISC. Yay! Look at this. This is all of the sprites for the game's credits. So credits one is the game. Yeah, this is a. Oh, I don't know what to say about this. Torin when he dumped the game's like when he dumped the game on his end and like took a look at the texture pages, like it was just an absolute mess and it was just hilarious. Again, no performance issues, nothing whatsoever. It just looks really bad inside internally. So let's make this a group. Oh, and you can even make these their own texture groups, but I will pass since we don't want to do anything that technically complicated. Credits, sprites. Spiders, not spiders. That's right. Bam. We'll never have to see that crap again. Hooray! I don't know why I called this file and it like, huh. Okay. What? I'm a bit confused by this. This should be like S phone terminal. Cool. Very nice. And this shouldn't be MISC stuff. let's make a group for UI sidebar stuff. So I guess UI period would be good. Yes, this would be a good idea. UI, I'm gonna move this out, and I will put icons and buttons into here. Fuck, I'll put shop in here too. This is also UI. Let's just put it all in there. Buttons. Very cool. And afterwards, the misc stuff. This is a sidebar. Sorry, no, I need to make a shortcut for that. Sidebar. Let's move this stuff in here. Item description. Yes, that's also. I guess. Yeah, you might as well just group it with the sidebar stuff. That would make sense. All right, here we go. And then border as well. Bam. That should be clean. And having this misc makes sense. // No, this should be in like bullets or whatever. Oof, that needs to get organized. Oh, background layer. Ah, I see. So, God, are these are long scrolling. So these are the three like background layers for like the stars in the background. Uh, and what's cool about GMS2 is that they actually have a function that just lets, or not a function, it just lets you make it so if you add in a background layer, you can just make it scroll in a certain direction. So I didn't have to actually do any code for that. It's just already simple options you can toggle. Um, so we just overlaid three of them, and they're designed to just be overlaid at the same time in order, basically. And that's how you get that really nice parallax look. It's probably the first project I actually worked on that's not unbeatable that like we implemented parallax in. Though it's not like it's like automatic. It's like automated. You would want to for like really cool parallax implementation, you'd want to do like actual things like making like some of the foreground move faster than the other, basically to achieve that. And yeah, that's what happens because the individual layers go at different speeds. But it's also since it's just scrolling downward in one direction, you don't actually have to do much work for that. Let's move this into the theme. Sidebar misc. Nah, that seems applicable. Yeah, the Sky Hour Works logo. 100. Wait, shit, no, let's not do that. The 120 14 frames of this logo. Very, very amazing. Um, this was like I think a screen. I did like a really bad like ShareX screen cap of this. And then no, I did I rendered out a video of this and then I turned it into a GIF and then basically compressed the GIF. Oh hell. Yeah, it's think the resolve effect that was used. Moxie made the video for the logo, and then a friend of ours, Levy, designed the logo. Uh, and then the jingle was done by Rookie, like all a long time ago. Like that wasn't uh the original old logo that Moxie designed back then. What a cute logo. I like it. It seems to have some use cases where it just doesn't really work when you put it against certain backgrounds though, so I probably need to go back to Levy to make some updates. But Friday got logo. So what can I say? I guess making the cutscene folder would make sense for this stuff. Or rather, let's make a folder for backgrounds. Backgrounds. Um, Not just a little out there. No special reason. Maybe we could have more. Let's see. I'll make group here, and this is the final report. So this is all the assets of the final report. So this is like the sprite for the final report sidebar on the left, and then these are the like end cards here. So in case people don't know, you get the second end card if you finish your second playthrough of the game and above. It becomes the new one by default, basically. Let's put them in here. Radical. And this is an epilogue. This is basically just like a single image, and we just put it as like a background layer in the epilogue cutscene. I'm pretty sure people recognize this image if you've played A Nightmare's Trip. Um, in actuality, this is an image from Akihabara, although it's stylized as it's like referred to as Kuma City, which in natural lore is actually half Japan, half Taiwan in some areas. I haven't really had a way of like actually visualizing how it looks, so it's just we just used the images I took from my summer vacation last year to explain that. Um, but yeah, there's like a very nice like kind of like Photoshop hand painted filter here. This filter was added in by Christina all the way back for Nightmare's Trip. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was going to like surprise some people, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people who were new to our games was just like, ah, they're in Japan. Yeah, so but yeah, it's supposed to be a pretty I picked probably one of the more recognizable backgrounds from A Nightmare's Trip, which because you see this one during a good period of time when you meet Orange, if I recall correctly. So yeah, and of course it's a little bigger than the game window, but that's fine. I actually stretched it a little bit because the height is lower than the game's window, but even though the width is way bigger. So I'll just put these in here. These are used for cutscenes, so I'll just keep them in MISC. I'll put this in here. Oh, and this is a cool one. Roxy drew this. So most of the game art was done. All the game art was done by Sophie, and then all of the character art was done by Cami. But the HB border here was actually done by Roxy. To I think probably what she mentioned was she was very she like suddenly kind of like got really bothered by the fact that there was no border for the HB. So then she just quickly whipped one up, and I'm like, hey, I'll add it in the next patch. Pretty dope. Uh, that was pretty simple to add. So I'll put this in UI actually. I'll just put it in. It's not in its own folder. It's just too powerful on its own. So first characters. So I think what we're going to want to do here is we should make a group that's just called bullets. So I think I'll just rename this to main game sprites probably. Main game sprites. And then we're just gonna put this here. And yes, let's look here. The bullet, the the auto bullet. So Sophie made the original sprite, and then I just colored some parts red to make it designated. Hey, this is the auto fire bullet actually. Just so you know. Um, Maybe it should have been the other way around, given the F boost, but that's probably fine. But yeah, they don't look that different from each other. That's something we should probably change to communicate that, I think. Um, but oh well. And this is the grenade sprite. I think it's just one single sprite. Yeah, and there's no like multiple sprites with the fire. And Star Slash, which is got 10 frames and it's a little crazy. This thing goes by pretty fast. Um, I don't think it's in the game anymore. I replaced it, but temporarily in old beta builds, we used a version of Star Slash that was based on uh, well, so it's called Star Slash, but in the game it's called Conjured Sword. Um, Star Slash is an ability that was available to like get in Star Air, which was a project I was working on a while back. It was also a Damaku like bullet hell shmup, which I just realized I said the same word, same thing 3 times in a row, basically, I guess, sort of. But um, that that had a little ability where on a cooldown you could like summon a sword, and I brought it back in here. It's actually the code is actually practically identical to it, and everything, but changed slightly so it works in this game. And then yes, let's move the ship up here and get its own spot. And then explosion is a. I'll just leave it up here too, and I will group this in bullets. And then the lasers has its own folder. I will go into that in a second. Turret bullets are here, so I'll place this in here. This is let's see. So these are two different explosion sprites. This is a regular explosion when an enemy blows up, and this is support strike. For some reason, it's just called Sprite 42. Changing it will probably mess with code, so I'll just keep it that way for now. Oops. Um, that just happens sometimes. And then black hole is here. So the black hole doesn't actually spin. Um, Instead, it plays like this for 2 frames, and then I in the code make it spin. Basically, I just like rotate the sprite just constantly. So that like gives it that effect. Um, Saves a lot of work on Sophie's end. Let's see. Cool. Lasers. So we have a folder dedicated to lasers, and there's a pretty fun reason why. So first, this is the original laser, the Star Shot. This is also a remnant from Star Air. And for the record, all Star Air game sprites were done by Tony, my friend Tony, um, who I worked on with that on that game in the past. Um, but yeah, this is like it's just a single sprite, and then what happens is when you use the laser, it just like expands, right? Uh, to like actually be like this. So like it starts with like a X scale of 0 and then goes up to there. So obviously that's not used in the game anymore. So I'll just keep it here. But see, the interesting thing is that the laser is probably the most complex bullet out of all of them. So as you can see here, there's a charge. So this is like the charge for it. And then once the cooldown is down, this sprite plays. It just like kind of becomes this. And then it does the blast. So it does like an initial wind up blast. And then after that, it becomes this sprite for a few frames and then goes away. So instead of doing the whole like expand thing, which it kind of, I think it does that sort of version of code, but it doesn't really, no, it doesn't do it in the code. It just expands straight into that. But yeah, that was like probably like a transitions between a few sprites. It is the most complex bullet code-wise because of that, but it's also the flashiest one. So that's pretty dope. Yeah, getting to share that stuff was a lot of fun. And I don't know if it's an art book, but Sophie's partner did a different version of this that just like had like basically almost like Gynax trigger levels of polish to it. Obviously due to how we wanted the bullet to feel, like it would make the wind up basically take too long, so we took it out. That wasn't included basically, but I did actually think, hey, like maybe we could change how it worked just to have that version of the sprite in there. I don't have the files for it though, unfortunately, so you'll have to ask someone else, or we'll just have to look for it later. So I think with that, that's like basically we looked through pretty much most of the stuff except for the scripts here. Kind of avoided showing that. Everything in this game is finally organized, sort of. Hooray! Um, yeah, that's basically the main thing I wanted to do with the stream, so I'm pretty happy about that. But before I go, I'll probably just go through like commenting 1 or 2 objects before I head off for the night and all that, because I have some pretty cool things I have to do eventually. Uh, which includes the thing I'm working on with Ken, who's on stream chat. That also I want to do a little bit of work today as well. Let's see. Um, is there any particular aspect of the game people want to know more about? Like, is there a certain object you want me to like go in and like comment and like look around, etc. This is like a really weird question, but since you have been looking at the stream and seeing like a lot of what I've been doing, you probably have an idea of like there's like some like objects that they've been organizing that might look interesting. But if anyone has any interest in that, I can go in and just comment it right now, and I'll do that for like a short bit before I head out for today. Oops, did not mean to do that. Actually, in that case, I'm just gonna close on Windows here. Uh, 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 um, and this is just gigantic. I think I'm just gonna make a space and close it. Rename this. I'm gonna make multiple workspaces here. Uh, okay. So I can uh probably not that one, and the main reason is because the CRT filter was not made by me. Um, I need to actually pull up the person who did it. I did not uh end up crediting them in the game itself. It's like in a file elsewhere, which I probably should do. My bad. Um, but that actually already has significant amount of documentation. So if you read through here, this person explained pretty much perfectly how things would work. They even provided different resolutions based off of the system. Um, yeah, this is a very intuitive system. Actually, let me see if I can find it. Whoa, that's hype. I thought I changed that. Damn it, why is it the stupid zombie? Thank you though. I did have a I did actually change Streamlabs, and that's why the stream started a little late to have that stuff. Let's see. Yes, it was this filter. I will post it in the chat. I'm actually just gonna put in the commenting code for future reference. Here. Yeah, but I mean, from what I remember, the terms of the plugin specifically said you can use it in commercial projects and whatever. You just can't use it in you can't just you just can't redistribute it, which makes sense. Right? You don't want to doing something that's pretty scummy, I feel. So let's just code these because it's fun. Move this down here probably. Thanks for hopping on. Yeah. I'm down to do more streams for this game, definitely later on in the future. But right now I'm pretty busy with stuff. This is like for a moment this is like a one-time testing, and I think so far it's gone but a lot better than expected, which I'm pretty happy about. So maybe I should do more dev streams. That would be a lot of fun. I'll just color code these different themes so I know what they are in the future. Uh, and you can tag these too. The thing that made me not want to use these though was I learned apparently that this is only saved on the client. So if you transferred projects like another computer, it doesn't save these tags and stuff, which is really disappointing. I don't know why they would implement that like that. It's like kind of defeats the purpose, I feel. Um, I mean, unclassified objects is like the yellow thing as a whole. Don't really have anywhere for animation curves and timelines, so I mean, I might want to I don't want to delete them, but should probably put them elsewhere because they're not really relevant. So let's move these around. Paths, tile sets. For some reason we didn't need to use those. And this seems like about right. Let's move these around here. Fonts. We didn't organize this, but didn't need to. Since there isn't too many and just kind of made a few. Rainbow directories. My favorite. I would say I always classified sprites as orange, faint, and Trellos. Blue would be sounds. Scripts would be red. That doesn't seem like a bright orange. This is better. No? Okay, it's just basically no different. Shaders, I will move down here. Room will be green. Fonts will be pink. Oh, it's just fun to color these. It looks really cool. Wow, so fancy. Colors. Okay. So since I don't think there's too much we want to go over, I will decide to by default go for the controller object, which probably to put it in simpler terms is the single most important object in the entire game. So this one will take a bit to do. So once I'm done with this, I'll probably be out with the stream. Controller object has everything. It has damage calculations. It handles damage cooldowns and like summoning and using weapons. Um, it even does this fiend for the alarm, which counts DPS, but I think again it's kind of useless. It handles most of the game's UI. Um, like this is just a one all be all object. Again, single most important thing. So let's go for these first. This initializes some things that only needs to be initialized at the start of the game. So these don't always have to be, like the fiends stat at the start. So because there's no enemies at the start of the game, we have to actually set this here first. So first let's initialize Roma 1 game stuff. So first let's go here. We established the enemies, like the name of the enemy level, I think is probably what I established here. And the enemy level text. So establishes enemy level, enemy UI slash enemy level. I'll just set a region here. Don't think I need to comment these specific lines here. It's pretty clear what it does. This is all the variables that initialize fboost, and there's like 6. This thing was a really huge hurdle to implement. Probably the fboost variables initialized. So this is the current fboost duration, max fboost, current fboost cooldown. I guess that's the right term for it. Max fboost cooldown. Room speed is 60, so this is basically room speed times 2. It doesn't really make too much of a difference here. This is how long the fboost is, which is 5 seconds. Well, this is current duration of fboost, and this is maximum duration. How long the fboost can last. This sets a timer. I think, what the fuck does this do? Let's go back real quick. And I actually did comment my code quite a bit here, unlike the other fiends here, because again, this is like the single most important object here. So I needed to go back to this object regularly and cross-check it. Let's see. What did I use that timer for? I completely forgot. Oh, I see. Here's what I did here. It just makes sure the game knows that it's in determines checks if the fboost is active or charging. Is the fboost active? Is the fboost charging? I guess that's correct. Is the fboost timer happening? So this is active or currently, or the player must time it. So yeah, this one's pretty complex. I'll go back to that one later. This is manual damage, M damage rather. This is the variable that calculates this. So calculates M damage. This is determines DPS formula is currently not used. So let's move these. I'll just set these as like M damage slash DPS calculations. So event user 0 sets cooldowns based on optimism rank. So this is a pretty interesting one. How about we go take a look at that actually while we the chance. So user event 0. What does this do? This determines this sets the proper cooldowns of all the abilities. Can I say set this up? Yep. Oh no, you have to do a 3 here. Very cool. There we go. So early on, we had some pretty interesting issues with Optimism Rink, and that's why the game had received a lot of really early patches. Basically, the TLDR is Optimism improves your cooldowns. It shortens them. Shortens the maximum time it takes before an ability is ready to use. The problem is, one, we forgot to make it um, save your cooldown. So if you close the game, it actually just always reset it back to rank 1. 2, it like added incrementally, right, in a sense. So there's just a lot of things about it that was a little broken. It was also just incredibly weak or too strong depending on the abilities. It made some abilities fire under 0 frames, which basically meant they rapidly fired, and every single frame they were just shooting, basically. Um, so there's that. This is by extension, this makes Optimism rank pretty crummy and like probably what we would do in the future if we did like post content stuff is we would likely change. I would probably say the main thing would probably change is it's side graded. So we would turn it to becoming manual damage instead of becoming cooldown damage, which would incentivize more active play. And we want to incentivize more active play in the future for the fiends we're doing. So that would make sense. But for now, it's just going to do cooldown. So this is a very stopgap thing. It's still really powerful, and I would still recommend upgrading it anyways when you do play throughs of this game. But just keep that in mind. This theme was a pretty buggy mess. So let's see here. This handles sets auto fire cooldowns. And auto fire and turrets are probably the more complex ones. We'll elaborate. Well, all three of them are pretty complex for reasons. So there's F checks here. Why is there F checks here? So what in specific? Um, in specific, the cooldowns of the auto fire and turrets are dependent on those rate of fire upgrades you would buy in the shop. Um, so for example, this is if you're rank 1, rank 2, or no rank. So we determine this by here. So by default, yeah, well, it doesn't cause any more bugs currently, if that's what you're wondering. But yeah, so this is determines if auto fire rank is 1. See, you could probably do a switch case for it, but I did have checks because I'm crazy. Or it's 2, or it's none. And you can see here that it gets the maximum cooldown, so the timer, how long it would take, how many frames before the cooldown like reaches cooldown max, which I'll elaborate, right? And then the main thing here is that this the O rank here multiplied by a rounding of room speed times 0.2 times 1 over 15 basically determines the subtraction of the reduced cooldown, like how much the cooldown is reduced here. So yeah, that is auto fire cooldowns. Let's set turret cooldowns. Let's go. So this does a similar thing because there's also 2 ranks of upgrades in the shop that affects it too. So if turret Roth is 1, if turret Roth is 2, or it's none. And the problem, see, the reason why the upgrade optimism got buggy was because turrets and auto fire had upgrades in the shop that would reduce their cooldowns, right? So that added on top of also O rank also doing that too. So those upgrades get really fast. Um, so let's see. Sets laser cooldowns, and it's worth noting that the other cooldowns here are fine, and I'll elaborate on why I separated them here second. So if you're rank 8 or above, the cooldowns of your laser is reduced by I believe 20% basically. So it's a 20% reduction. So that is laser. For black hole, it is 30%. Or I think it's actually now 20% as well. It used to be 30%, but we nerfed it. Let me double check. Yes, it is also 20%. This would be laser sets black hole cooldowns. The other cooldowns do not get affected by other extraneous upgrades. They only get modified by DO rank. So we just have to do these here. Pretty simple. Sets cooldowns on sets support strike / conjured swords / grenade cooldowns. Bam. I'll fix this real quick. Cool. And this is an interesting one. So, see, because we had issues where we didn't want the abilities to go to a certain speed, for some fiends we had to fix them to certain lengths. So, for example, auto fire can never go lower than 3 frames. Turret can never go lower than 6 frames. This means at a certain point, optimism is actually rendered useless. I think by rank 4 for these two abilities, but this prevents a lot of visual bugs, plus a lot of game-breaking bugs. Period. So we don't have too much of a choice here. Locks auto fire to 3 frames if optimism rank is too high. So let's separate that. So locks turret 6 frames. Support strike. And then grenade launcher. See, we adjusted the cooldowns of lasers and black holes to not have these problems, but the other 4 weapons here just did, period. So that's unfortunate. Weird. I didn't know you could do that. Weird. Let's see. Fixes cooldowns to sizes to prevent bugs. And that is the entirety of user event 0, aka our proper cooldowns fiend. User event 0 is called upon boot up, and it's also called yes, this was related. So that should be fixed now in this version, because I essentially recoded how optimism rank was calculated here. It used to be done at rank up in a different script, but now it's done here. And when you rank up, it will also call the script to properly set the cooldowns correctly. That's the idea. So bam, we're done here. Let's go back to create. The enemy spawns here. So enemy spawns, spawn the enemy at specific position. And so for the record, yes, it will spawn an object called enemy spawn, and I will go into that too. There's a lot to talk here. This is like again, the controller object is basically the bulk of the entire game. So like it's like the master of like most of the game. So a lot of issues always stem back to stuff that gets set up on controller and likewise. Very important object. Cooldown autosave. This determines how long, if you have autosave enabled, this will determine how long it takes. It's every 60 seconds, every minute, it will autosave. I would probably do it lower, but I just kind of don't want to. So, okay, let's have that. These are fine separate. Initializes phone / starts dialogue if you have it. So this doesn't really need much commentary code to explain that. So here, if you have a phone on boot up, right, but the phone object doesn't exist, which it doesn't at startup. It just doesn't, period. So I don't know why I have that there. But it's just to fix some bugs in the past, I think, probably. But it will create the phone and put it in the specific part in the UI. So if I open up room 1, God, everything's so colorful now. I love it. So it would spawn it here, and then it will determine what you should do next. Are we playing the demo? So because this version of the game, basically this entire thing here handles, and I'll just make a region here since this isn't entirely relevant anymore. Steam Game Festival save transferring. So this will convert your save into um, this converts save Steam Game Festival saves into regular saves. And as you can see here, this gives you the AP bonus and everything on startup. And it also calls a script that like says like, hey, welcome, like congratulations, you did the thing. Saves the game too. Make sure it remembers. I theoretically want to do it here actually. Actually no, yeah, it does this here in case of if you close the game by accident, but oh well. Anyways, this code is probably not relevant anymore because no one's playing the Steam Game Festival version. So let's remove that. Yeah, that should be fine. Otherwise, the most relevant thing here is this thing. So this is if you have started talking to Kato, Kato will have dialogue when you start up. It's always the one saying single line, and this happens upon restarting too. So there's probably some things I want to do to prevent that in the future. Also giving Kato a variety of lines when this happens. But yeah, call script is also a pretty essential thing, as you can tell. Anything that's not the main dialogue, which I store on the phone, is stored there. It's just a general gist of it. Don't think I need to show that too much to explain it. Initializes, auto save. What the hell is hold for? Okay, yeah, that implements holding key for the level for enemy level select determines player is key, and then this determines how long they have until they aren't doing that. For screenshots, I guess, basically. Cool. I think that basically cleans up the create object a bit more. Again, I definitely put a lot more here, and I mean, insert description here. What do I say? This is basically a lot of things. Okay, and so this will handle enemy select. Enemy select. And I already did some commenting code here, so cool, genius. Actually, this is kind of still here. Yeah, this is selecting leftward. Selecting Q/left. Selecting E/right. Boom. So here this determines, so for example on boot up, and I'm going to open up the game again to demonstrate. This determines this thing here. So if I hold it, it does that, changes the level, and as you can see, depending on the enemy I'm fighting, it changes that. But when you level up, that kind of gets rid of that. So oops. Yes. Let's see. Wow, I heard my computer beef up a little bit from that. Amazing. This handles enemy gens. So basically, when you kill an enemy, this will make sure it spawns it again when it's dead. So I'll call it enemy gen. And it makes sure it fixes the. It also sets the level text to make sure it's the enemy's global level, right? The level that the enemy will spawn as. Else it will just do it as the enemy level, just in case there's a problem, basically. Create the enemy, set the level text UI to the enemy's global level, in case there's problems. Very cool. Cool. This Steam is here. So this is all Steam related functions. Why does this all the way up here? I don't know. I might just move it downward to match it with Discord API stuff. So this is Steam API calls. So this will check if Steam is initialized, and then this will regularly check achievements basically every frame. Again, I initially didn't have this here because I felt like that'd be negligible for performance, but this does fix a lot of issues we've had with achievements not dropping regularly. So there you go. This also checks if a Steam screenshot's requested. So checks achievements, but only if they're valid. And keep in mind, all saves are basically valid right now until I implement anti-cheat. So, you know, um, check screenshots. And what's really sad is that if you have to basically implement this anytime, like every frame, if you want screenshots to happen, which is a little strange, but I guess that's fine. Um, so I'll just do this. These are their own regions. just it's here. It's a file name. Saves a screenshot as that file captures. Send it to Steam. Increment this, I guess. Dope. Let's move this. Move it all the way down to Discord stuff. Hot. Let me do this. Cool. Bam. So this happens when the player levels up. So every frame it'll check if that happens. So if the player levels up, player leveling, and region. Okay. So if the player's XP is more than equal to their max XP requirements, we'll pop up a little level pop. So it will just pop up next to the enemy. So this actually isn't entirely depreciated, because that thing doesn't cause huge negligible performance issues. GMS is otherwise pretty good at cleaning garbage, but you just can't spawn too many objects at once. Display level pop. Sets XP to current XP minus max XP. So basically this means instead of like so what some games might do is like say you level up Bane, your XP gets fixed back to 0, right? But here we want to do it so Bane, your XP is like the extra amount you have above max XP. So for example, if you get 127 XP out of 100 and then you level up, it will become 27 out of 105 or something like that. This will update max XP requirements. So this is based off of this is basically our level formula here. You get one quick good glance at it. Your glance is finished. So increment player level, add AP amount. And I'm gonna make this. Just do this level. Add AP rewards. Add SP. Yes, it will. The surplus is added to the next level. And that's actually what overflow is for grenades too, except for damage, which I'll go into. If auto level and level is enabled, fix global enemy to this. Of course, this is currently not, relevant right now since this is always going to be true. Spawn console message so that people know about it. What? I don't remember what that does. I'll think about it later. Cool. That is player leveling. So now here's the big stuff. First, I'm going to do all-encompassing damage calculation. Let's go all the way down here. End region. There's going to be tons of regions with this one. So calculate auto fire. And region. Calculate turret fire. Calculate support strike. Why is that its own region? That's not really. No. Calculate the other ones. The other abilities. Calculate S strike. Regions within regions within regions. Alright, so I want to just indent everything so this is a little easier to read. Cool. So, yeah, let's do that too. Bam. This calculates manual damage. Calculate manual damage. So it all adds it to this variable called C damage, in case you're wondering what this is. And C damage is attack power. So that's what that gets calculated as. We will see that display in the UI here later. Bang. Damage calculation done. Look how much cleaner everything's getting, but we still have a mountain of code to go through. So let's see. So now we're gonna get into abilities. Fun. Ability. So this all here is all the scripts that handle when the cooldown is met, when you own it, right? You fire the cooldown ability, etc. The only exception is manual damage. That's handled on the ship object because I guess you can do it that way. I mean that's what I did. But all abilities are handled here. All 8 of them. Turret code obviously being the most complex. So region auto fire. So cool. If you own it, increment. So this bit here will handle cooldowns. So increments cooldown, and then if ready to fire, debug message. Yes, remove that. We don't need that. Fire with the ship. Reset cooldown. Bam. That's auto fire. Pretty simple. Basically, when the cooldown's met, you fire a bullet. Easy code. Turrets. This gets more complex. So let's see. Yes, yeah, that's absolutely very complex. So keep in mind that turrets L and R are separate objects. So first off, they need to exist in the map and always persist. So this creates if the turrets exist, then you definitely unlock them. Then we check here. Do you own either of them? And then let's see what I wrote here, basically. Increments cooldown. If ready to fire, reset cooldowns. But depending on if you own turret L or R, it will fire. So because you could have one turret but not the other, we need to check individually. If you have the turret and then fire, because this just checks if you have either of them, in which it will do the cooldown in general, no matter what. Turrets are done. Support strike. Support strike is an interesting one because it has its own object of its own code, which could go into another day, but not right now. All you have to know is pretty simple. Increments cooldown. Also, Moxie, the lights are on. If you're watching the stream, go take care of that. Thank you. Let's see. If ready to fire. Fire. Spawn support strike. And reset. Thank you. Cool. Let's support strike. Grenade launcher. So again, a lot of these are just like really simple if checks, I guess. I mean, I feel like these are the most intuitive way to do it. Let's see, grenade launcher. Why do I have debug message here again? Must have had issues in the past that I needed to test, so I just needed to make it confirm if it was firing properly. Oh no, I just copied the code from auto fire from this, I think, because it's really just also another bullet. What's different is the grenade object itself. In which case, so keep in mind with these ones, right? They will set it to fire, which means it activates a variable inside the certain object of choice that will make it spawn the bullet and set it back to false. I don't create the objects here, except for support strike, conjured sword, grenade launcher, and black hole. Wait, why do I have grenade launcher here? Oh no, that's laser beam. Oops. You didn't see that. Okay, Increments cooldown. Ready to fire? Fire and reset cooldown. These are just going to be a lot less words. Special sword or conjure sword. So don't know why I call it that. I mean, the variable's even conjured sword. I must have named it something differently at some point in production, but I can't honestly tell you because I don't remember. So, all right. Oh yeah. We'll go into that one later. Support strike, random one. Well, basically, it just sets a random chance. Is is it going to be lucky with the hits or is it not going to be? Basically, the random chance is also I think checked every single hit, so it will always determine per hit basis basically. This just re-rolls it again. Um, Also RNG is like seeded I think here. This is like not unseeded RNG, so depending on certain circumstances of your game, like the RNG of the suppressed strike is always set, but I guess it's not a big deal or noticeable, honestly. So, oh well. Okay. Conjured sword. If we on it, increment cooldown. If ready to fire. Fire and reset cooldown. This here will create the star slash object. Create sword object. And remember, it's called star slash because I literally took the code from the old object, so it didn't really change that much in that regard. From that other project. If we own laser beam, increment cooldown. You know the drill, everyone. Ready to fire. Fire and reset cooldown. So with this, it will it will create a laser object inside of the player's ship. If I recall how that works, is when it creates the object, it just changes the sprite. It gets rid of the charging sprite. That's handled separately on the player object too, for visual reasons. Yeah, also make sure the depth is slightly above the enemy, so it will cover the enemy and like the laser for that cool effect. And region. Come on, let me close this. Thank you. Region black hole launcher and region. So this is the last ability, the most powerful, sort of. It's got some drawbacks to make it worse than Conjured Sword in some regards, but they're both on par and very good to have just together. They're powerful together. If you own it, reduce cooldown. Our increment cooldown. Ready to fire. We know the drill. Fire and reset cooldown. That is all of the abilities. And that was like probably over 130 lines of code that I had to go through and document. Cool. Bam. So this handles auto-saving. Now that we're out of abilities. Handles auto-saving. So let's go here. The drawbacks of the launcher is longer cooldown. And I think that's basically it. It also does a little less damage than the laser, but it lasts longer than the laser. It has more frames. So, this will, if the autosave option is enabled, because remember, the player can disable it. Necromant timer. The timer is 0. And GameWorker has timers for this stuff, but you can also do it in code, and it's often more convenient to do it in code. I use the alarms sometimes, not all the time, because each object's fixed to only 20, usually. Timer is 0, and this is handling a lot of cooldowns. Timer is 0. Reset timer. Update console. And then lastly, the important thing, save the game. Bam, that is auto-saving. Pretty simple set of things, just making sure every 60 seconds it will do the save game function, which basically writes like the ini file with all the information. Well, it's not really, it's an ini file, but the file type is changed to .sav basically, which is a specific file type made for the project. Although, I mean, .sav is used for a lot of things. It's just a different text file basically. Cool. Abilities. So this is the friendship boost, and yes, it is probably one of the most complex things in this game's code. It's about as many lines as like the weapon cooldowns, if you want to know how busy it is. It's boost code. Yes, this is a lot. It was probably the jankiest thing I had to implement in the game too. So I think I originally wasn't gonna add a friendship boost too. It was going to just be like a different, like simple kind of buff. Um, yes. So let's see here. If you are rank 5 and able to use the F boost, if the F boost isn't active or is ready to fire, increment the timer. If the timer reaches 100 seconds, so okay, I think I set the cooldown as like a different thing earlier, but so this is the cooldown timer, right? How long it takes before it's ready. Reaches 100 seconds. So if 100 seconds pass, a minute and 40 seconds, right? F boost is set to ready state. Update console. Now, if the F boost is ready to fire and you are not paused and dialogue is not happening and the shop is not open either, I guess, pause. Yeah, basically, if you're ready to go, it's going to just um, increment the timer, the timing window. Uh, if you if the timer goes over max, reset back to the start. So you know the red bar, right? This is basically that red bar here. F boost. Um, let's see here. Uh, if you get the F boost, so if the F boost is the maximum bar or 10 frames less, um, so I think I should do this a little bit, dude. I don't know. So, yeah, so it's if it's like in a very tight window where you achieve it, um, and you you press this, and nothing else was open, blah blah blah. Uh, F boost becomes active. It is no longer ready. That's a word. F boost duration is set for 5 seconds. The timer cooldown is reset. Finally. It will play a sound effect, the to let you know you got it. It will increment total F boost count. Update console. If you messed up, uh-oh, you didn't get the boost. Uh, F boost A never happened, so just it is no longer ready. Reset timer. Reset boost. Play error sound. You effed up. Update console. Cool. So this is what happens when it's happening. So the FP's duration is existing. Um, while FBoost is happening, reduce its cooldown. It will eventually have to end. Reduce its timer. It will eventually end. When it ends, and let's add some parentheses here. It is no longer active. Reset boost. Update console. So that's how FBoost works. It's bit complicated, and I probably didn't explain it too well. Now, the important thing you want to know here is fboost A. So this variable here will determine if it's active or not. And in other places, when I'm calculating damage or handling damage, if this is A, no, it's not A, if this is 1, then fboost is active and the boost is enabled. So that's the important thing. This gets playtime, I guess. I'll just move this elsewhere. Shit. In the game, I remember it's like too bad if you miss it. Uh, gets playtime like every frame, I guess. Again, playtime is not used for anything yet, but maybe it could be used for something. Support us on Patreon, supporter pack DLC, that stuff that helps. Um, let's see, player level. Oh yeah, this checks if you are poggers enough to become an ultra pilot. It is this simple check. Is your level over 5,000? Bam, achievement unlocked. But so first, hang on, let's move this into here. Actually, there's no point in this. Let's double check. There's really no point to that line of code, and I am going to expose why. So, if we go to the script where we call it, which is ranks and chiefs, it already checks every frame if your level is above 5,000. Are you poggers enough to be an ultra pilot? Okay, cool. Yeah, so that doesn't need to be in there. So just cleaning up code a bit. Let's go back to here. This will check ascend levels. This will display the wait, this is Discord stuff. Okay, cool. So region dissonance API calls. Bam. Let's see, put this in here. And I will organize playtime to be on the bottom of this. So if the player has a rewind level, display it alongside with the level and on Discord. Otherwise, just show the P level. See you later, Moxie. Okay, stream is about to wrap up anyways, I feel. Well, actually no, we have to go for the UI. So we'll still be here for a hot bit. Displays XP as the state. So on Discord, rich presence, you can see that this here is the game's name, the application's name. This is like, what is it? It's like this is details. This is state. So that's what I'm calling here. Okay. Anyways, Kata rank 1, S link rank 1. Alright. So this determines image, the thumbnail image on Discord. So if you met Kato and you're through the story, otherwise, if you have not met Kato yet, or you've beaten the game, see this changes screen. So this is like dot dot dot, like game started, and then SMP complete. Bang, you're done with the game. Congratulations. That makes sense for all the Discord stuff. Bang, bang, space out of it. Done. That is the entire stepped object, over 461 lines of code, including documentation, all in here, and it's just split into these things. See, that always looked like a lot of code, but when you document it and organize it and split it to regions, it looks simple. Very cool. So, yeah, nice. And then the GUI. So not everything in the HUD shows up in here. For example, XP doesn't due to layering issues, but quite a good chunk of the UI shows up here. In total, over 200 lines of code for this. So if the rewind cutscene is not happening, this is a really sketch situation to handle it. Let's just drag this down. After the end of the game, it just closes the game. It's just a single function. It is an actual quit command. Game underscore quit, I think, is what it's called, or game exit. Exit game. I don't know what it is. It's game exit, game quit, something. I have to, draw the UI here. Alarm here is the DPS counter, basically depreciated. Let's see, draw the UI here. Okay, so this sets the font of the player object of all of the UI, basically to one singular font, which is a font. It's a font called Silver, and it's by a studio called Popups. If you go here, this is the UI it's using. You may recognize this font text. It's very pixely, but in specific, some games that have used it is Garden forgot to use this font. I think another certain game called Valhalla used it too. I say another certain game. I've played it. I know what that game is. If you're not paused in the menu, so this is all the UI in the center. UI in the center slash not sidebar basically. Oh no, code for this is an absolute fucking mess. Ay ay ay. Uh, Bane here. Perfect. And let's dent this so this is easier to read. Oof. Uh, cool. That should be good. So this is all the UI in the center. So again, let me open the game. Let's open it for Discord. For just compile it for here. So it's just to make sure the game, my changes to code hasn't crashed anything. I don't think it has, because again, all I've done is documenting and like very minor changes to code. Okay. And yes, I will be updating this build. This will be probably V1.04 B, I guess V1.05. It's a really small patch, literally made like 4 changes here. So let me make sure I add it to the Trello. Stream fixes. Let's see. What is it? Times rewind. Resets properly. Why is it taking a minute to compile? That is very concerning. I must have changed a lot of things in here. Give it a bit. Meantime, I want to turn on the lights. Yeah, it's probably because I reorganized files a ton. So now the game's just gotta rebuild and reorganize itself. But it shouldn't be anything concerning. I think the game is, yep, it's compiling. Let's see here. Bang, game is completely fine. How cool. Okay. Anyways, to explain what central UI is here, it is everything here. So none of the sidebar stuff. And yeah, all of this gets displayed every frame. I guess that's pretty costly for performance and CPU usage. I mean, I feel like it'd be more taxing on GPU, but I also don't understand this stuff too well. But yes, this is uh, so for example, all the things we're about to be changing here, everything I put in this region um, is related to here. So let's go here. Enemy level. This will display enemy level. This is attack power. Displays attack power around here. Enemy UI. Yeah, give me a second. Just messaging something. Yes. Okay. Uh, Enemy level. I think you should just display this here. No, this isn't enemy UI. This is yeah, this is enemy UI. Wait, this is on the top. Enemy level, enemy setting level, fine attack, enemy UI. I mean this is pretty simple stuff to understand. Not simple stuff to understand, but I mean enemy level. Let's say HP border. Um, and this is an interesting thing. So, yes, we do round the numbers significantly to make sure that people, like, if they reach up a certain amount. So, if the enemy's HP is over, max HP is over 100,000, the HP will be put down to thousands. It will be counted down to thousands. Um, Rounding MG thousands. Display enemy HP. Display enemy health bar. Cool. This is enemy UI. This is basically, this could be its own region. Why not? Bang. Okay, so this sets it back to middle here for some point things. This displays middle damage. Let's move this up here, and that'd make a lot more sense. We want there's 15 enemy names, and they're not combinations. They are specifically enemy names. Hang on, let me show you real quick. I'll just add this back because there's no point in copy and pasting it. It's a little messy, but I just want to make sure I don't cause problems like I usually do. Okay, in region, let's add that back. So this is M damage. This was added a little late. This was like added in a recent patch because somebody requested, hey, I also want to see how much M damage is available. You can actually also see it in the shop too. Shows rewind level if you have it. And I'm gonna move this elsewhere. Debug checks if save is valid, disabled, commented out. Okay. Shows M shot So probably what I would have done um, is make it so the different enemies combine their two names, like your first and last name. But I didn't do that because I only had 15 enemies and I just didn't want to give them random names if they had the same sprite. But that should be fine. So let me show you. Let's go to objects. Let's go to enemies. And I haven't explained enemy spawn actually a bit. Well, it's a pretty simple one. But yeah, enemies are a little complex here. But here it establishes their name. It sets their name based off of the enemy variant they are. So they all have their own unique names. There's what 5 different types: the rogues, uh, the strange, the corrupted, the battle, and the scout. And it's like there's like different ends here. So there's rogue data, rogue ship destroyer. They're all not the same. I tried to keep them different. Cool. And then coming back a bit here, so I did mention about enemy spawning. So it spawns an enemy at where enemy spawn is, right? Or the position it is, not actually the exact position. The reason why is because enemy spawn uh, is used to make the turrets remember where the enemy is, so the game doesn't crash or break wildly when the one frame they decide to fire is the frame of the enemy is blown up and hasn't spawned back yet. So that's the main reason we have enemy spawn exist, essentially. And it's literally just a blank object uh, with a sprite, but it's also invisible. So I just used it for placement. Anyways, going back to controller. Let's go back to GUI. Um, so let's talk about the sidebar. This is the sidebar. Let's see. Yes, this is everything on the left side. So side, let's pick a new region. Let's call this uh, left sidebar UI. U, or rather UI for this sidebar, left sidebar. The right sidebar has buttons, and the buttons all have their own UI. It is very messy, but yes, that is how that's handled. This also displays the console, I think. No, it doesn't. Console codes are different. Right. Yes. Okay. Now I remember. Uh, yeah, this basically has like everything. So there's 2 major regions here. Spain. There's like no code after this. Like, wow, crazy. Um, and again, if you're wondering where XP is, that's in a separate object. So if you have bought all the upgrades, show only play level and AP. Found if you have too much AP. Otherwise, um, these will check uh, display P level, AP, SP, round them based on whatever or not they have over 1,000. I don't do this for player level, by the way, which might cause some rounding issues later on, but that's because I expect people. Well, I would expect there to not be realistic issue with SP at that point. So let's see. Let's just separate this as like base stats. Base stats. Oh yes, this health bar, it's not a health bar, it is the XP bar. So that is still displayed here, XP bar. And let's of course make this here. Bam, base stats. Controller prompts, that's not here. I don't have controller prompts, quote unquote. Let's see, oh shit, did not mean to do that. Okay, this is the UI on the terminal, on the phone terminal. So the phone terminal is the top left here. So you can see the version text here. I'm going to change this to V1.05. This has the timer, this has the date, and this has the status you're in. So active is just the normal status. But if you're in the shop, it shows shopping. If you're in options, it does. And if you have the phone, it's in call. But of course, no one responded. Let's see. UI in the phone terminal. Let's just. This is multiple regions within regions too. No, not really. Should be fine. Although I might want to split these off still. Let's do that. Okay. Version text. Version text. Now I'll just comment the code. This is. I ignore commenting the other ones because these are just initializing the different fonts and stuff. Version text. This is status. This is time. And this is day and date. Pretty simple. Shoot, did not mean to open that again. Cooldowns. Cooldowns. Let's change that to cooldowns. So this will display the 8 cooldowns on the side here. The nice white bars. Okay. This is auto fire. This is turret. Oh. It was just like a nifty thing that I have to add. Also keep in mind that it wasn't in the older versions of the game that some people played, but I did make it so it does actually like for the time it like formats it so it shows like the additional 0 digit, which was a problem I had in older builds. Support strike. Oh yeah, and the other thing was that we made it so you could select between day, month, and day, which is a thing I know like some people in like Europe kind of are used to. So I just had that's like a fun little polishing feature that you could do. So yes. Going through all this code is fun, but God, just letting you know, I've only done documentation on like 2 objects today on this stream. Just 2. And while these are like the biggest objects, there's a lot. So obviously I'm going to go back and do a lot of the documentation on my own, but I might just do it like on stream every so often. I might do more streams after this probably. That's what I'm assuming. It is a good opportunity to just pop on and do this stuff. I'm not listening to any music by the way, but because I literally forgot. Like I realized I normally listen to music while doing this stuff, but I also know Twitch stream copyrights are a little messy right now, so we can deal with that later. Might be for the best since I imagine some people on stream here are listening to their own music while working or hanging out. So cool. This is social rank stats. Plus F boost. F boost is also here too for some reason. Plus F boost. Social rank stats plus rank bonuses. Yes, that would probably be the more applicable term. So displays the Gato stats. So these lines here, they show this. They print the letters and they print the ranks. And if you're wondering about the text description, that is a different thing that I will cover maybe another day. Not right now. This will show Kato's social rank, which is here as a note. And keep in mind the UI only affects the text. The sidebar is its own sprite and it will change depending on like current states in the game. So this one shows up because hey, like you have everything now. Wow, yeah, F-boost. Hurrah! Let's see. Yeah, we can probably region these. Why not? No, we don't need to do that. F-boost stuff. Yes, we can. UI. So as you see when I just fired it there, so you can see the health bar, the text here, the F-boost charging, um, F-boost duration. Mash the F, mash the fire key, or mash the M key, the fire key. Yes, fire the attack key would make sense. Yes. So this will not do it. So yes, it will let the player know to mash the attack key. Um, time the F boost charging. So it has the text there, and then also displays the health bar depending on what state you're in. So obviously it's different colors and everything. Um, cool. That is F boost. And then this is refund bonus. So actually, somebody mentioned that refund bonus should be. So let's do this. If game dot t rank is this is less than 5. Let's do less than 5. So don't do move code here. Else. Okay, so we're gonna add a little quick thing that I've seen people request. People want our bonus to not appear because you've already achieved it. So this causes a problem with this. So I would just say draw text 51 to our bonus complete would make sense. Yes. And I think that, yeah, I'm gonna region that. Why not? We have reached the end of the UI object here. Uh-oh, it appears to be a problem. Let's double check. Nope. Wait, how? Unclosed region. Where did I forget to close the region? Shit. Let's see if this helps. Is it messing up because of the indenting? Strange. No, it doesn't recognize this as end region. Must have put it somewhere wrong. Let's see. Nope, seems okay. Let's try something. Nope, that wasn't it. It messed up somewhere. Yeah, it has to do with this. Yeah, I did actually forget that end region. Let's close this. Yep, thanks for hopping on. I am almost done with the stream here. So for anyone else watching, I have some closing comments when I'm done. Wow, look how much lines of code it just got reduced to this. So simple. Hooray! And we already finished this. So I think as far as I'm concerned, the controller object is actually complete. Let's recompile the game to make sure there's no problems. And I'm going to update the patch notes here in a second, the ones I have here. Okay. Uh, Thanks for hopping on. So, we made some minor bug fixes here, and I'm gonna actually pull up the Trello real quick to demonstrate, to list them off. So we fixed the dialog error in rank 3. Default fire will now start at the start of the sequence to whatever the player uses most if it's a fresh save. Uh, Times to rewind will now reset properly. FPS will display is complete over here upon finishing the game. And when FPS is fully charged, which we will see in a bit, I'm just gonna wait for it. It will show I will say mash the attack key. Um, but yep, that's basically um uh like most of the book of work. We cleaned up a lot of code here, which is probably the major change, even though nothing superficially about the game itself has changed. So I'm gonna upload this to Steam on itch, and that's basically my work on this project for a hot bit until like what 30th when I need to re-enable fiends basically. Um, so yeah, appreciate everyone tuning in to the stream. Uh, Probably maybe if I need to stream the game, I'm stream again, and probably will be in November. A heads up to anyone who wants to see me stream more. I am streaming some roguelike horror games on the 31st. This is Golden Light and World of Horror, and will happen at 9 p.m. EST Halloween, which is the 31st. Well, you get my point, right? But it'll be fun to stream. I'm very squeamish of horror as a warning, so it will probably be very messy. But I do hope people tune in for it, because I don't know. I haven't actually played out of those games before. It should be worth noting, and I've always wanted to. So I am gonna go into those blind when I first play and the like. So yeah, if you found this interesting, um, honestly, to anyone who hasn't done game dev yourself, like it's really exhausting, but I really enjoy doing it. So like, if you have interest in it, like I recommend just diving straight in, basically. GMS2 does cost money, but they have a free version to test it out for a bit, and then of course, like it's a one-time payment, unlike some other engines with royalties and even subscriptions at times. So, yep. Um, I'm gonna shut off the stream now and get back to other fiends for the night. Have fun, everybody. Good night.